Coming up on this special edition of the ICT Newscast, we are diving into Indigenous athletics, from a new and accessible sport exciting Native elders to a soccer star who is the focus of a documentary. And we have the incredible story of a Lakota doctor's climb to the top of Mount Everest. I'm Malia Chavez. Join us for these stories on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amadawa Hopa, thank you for joining us for this special edition of the ICT Newscast. Soccer star Madison Hammond is the focus of a mini documentary sharing a rare picture of her life behind the scenes, focusing on mental health, identity, and family. The 25-year-old is the first Native American player in the National Women's Soccer League. This film was directed by Kyle Bell and produced by Illuminative and Reno Productions. Let's watch.
This is home. We protect home.
Madison Hammond, she's a defender for Angel City FC.
Hi, I'm on the team.
Great tactical defending.
First Native American to play in the NWSL.
The first Native American.
The first and only player that is Indigenous.
I didn't even know I was the first Native player in the NWSL.
And I'm just Madison.
I started playing soccer in Albuquerque.
She was around 5 years old.
I played on an all-boys team where I found my competitive spirit. I wanted to be better than the boys.
She started to really separate herself.
I got my first recruiting email when I was in 8th grade going into my freshman year.
It was amazing.
This past season I was traded from Seattle to LA.
You know, girl from Albuquerque, playing with my idols, but then also having an ownership group led by Natalie Portman.
This sport has given me so much and has also been my biggest enemy.
And now you're 1v1 with Hammond, who she closes way too late.
But I think that's mostly because of myself.
What's been the biggest lesson you think you've learned this year? Thank God for therapy.
It started out almost exactly how I wanted it to. I came to LA, I proved I could play, and I was getting a lot of playing time. And almost on a dime, it changed, and I could not pay someone to get me off the bench. It felt like this weird juxtaposition of being a part of the first season of Angel City, and everyone's really excited about it, and then you also not feeling like you're a part of it because you're not playing. All of your mistakes feel like they weigh 10,000 pounds.
Let's go, cutting all the way through.
As you can see, the miscommunication between the two center backs of Angel City.
My psyche and my mental health just kind of took a nosedive. When that starts happening, you just lose touch with reality. Like, you feel like your body is floating above the ground and you can't get your feet just settled. My vision would get so small, it would be like I could only see out of 2 quarter-sized holes, and everything else around it was just black. And I'd never gone through that, and I'd been playing the sport for 20 years.
We didn't know anything. For me as a parent, I was like, God, I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna guide the wrong way.
There are days where if I miss a pass, I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna think I'm a fraud. Everyone's gonna think that the only reason that I'm here is because everyone's excited they have the first Native American
the pressures of living in existence sort of in mainstream culture. You play predominantly white sport, as did I.
I think that there are just a lot of preconceived notions and stereotypes on what it means to be Native, on what it means to be Black. Just that feeling of trying to fit in, trying to be someone I wasn't, getting lost along the way. But then when you come back home and you go to your little pueblo, 25 miles north of Albuquerque, people just knowing who you are and where you've started.
I always describe this as capital H home.
We're really glad you're home.
I was raised by an army of women. I never felt like I went without. Particularly me, my mom, and my sister have this unyielding and unrelenting obsession and love for each other that it doesn't matter whether it's a good time, a bad time. All of my memories growing up have one of them in it.
They just carried me and bigged me up and have been my biggest hype people.
As I go into my 4th year as a pro, it's not rocket science, and it feels like rocket science a lot, and that's what feels like chaos.
I just asked her, I said, what do you want to do? And she said, I want to play soccer. I said, then don't give up.
When I play confident and when I play free, I don't think that there is going to be much that's going to stop me.
Hey, kumara, nice show. Hey, kumara, you hot, yung shohati dikatalo. And that's my prayer for you. It's my prayer for all of us.
I'm here because of what I can do. I'm good enough to leave more of an imprint than just being the first Native American to play in the NWSL. It is not a question of if I'm capable. I think it is more so a question of when. I'm finally just gonna do the damn thing. I'm here to tell the story of me.
We give a special thanks to Illuminative for allowing us to share that film. There's a little-known sport taking Native American senior citizens by storm, and that's chair volleyball. I had the opportunity to see how when an Arizona tribe held its annual tournament in May. Take a look. Some of these buses and vans drove elders hundreds of miles for the 2023 Senior Chair Volleyball Tournament hosted by the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community. Serena Padilla is one of the players here. From age 9 until 32, she played softball, but between a knee surgery and getting older, staying active wasn't as easy. That's until chair volleyball.
It really helps your whole body. And you get to laugh, you get to joke, you get to be around other relatives that are older. And the thing is, they're handicapped too. A lot of them are handicapped, and that really can help them.
32 teams competed in this year's tournament. That's more than ever before.
They travel from San Diego, Nevada, Tucson area. Usually we do 24. This year we got 32 teams in, and we're looking to make it bigger.
So how is chair volleyball different than regular volleyball? For starters, they play with these, which are lightweight and easy to balance. The court is 20 feet by 14 feet, which is half the size of a standard court. The net is 5 feet tall. The game is made up of 10-minute matches, or the first team to score 15 points. If a player's chair comes off the ground, it is an automatic point for the opposite team. Players must be 55 years or older to play in this tournament. Many of the players said COVID-19 affected them greatly and said chair volleyball is just one way to reconnect.
I like the social of meeting everyone. We have so much fun. We are competitive, so we do like to play. But it's for fun, and it's good to see everybody, all the different tribes that come out.
76-year-old Roberta Johnston is Muskogee Creek. As a young girl, her parents moved her from Oklahoma to Arizona. She says Salt River has become her home.
The community has been so good to me, have treated me so good, and they just make me feel like part of the family, and that's how I always felt. I teach a senior dance group here, and we're called the Steppers also. Some of the ladies thought, well, why can't we get a team and enter the volleyball? So we did. We had got all of our our steppers, our dancers, and we started a volleyball team.
What the seniors here want people to know is that chair volleyball might not be what you first think.
It gets intense, you know. I know that when the tournaments before this started, you know, it was all for fun, and we just had fun doing it. But as the years have passed, and when there are more teams starting to come in, and even like California, it's starting to get a little bit more competitive, more intense. So it's just like, I don't know, you know, you're not really thinking about anything except for me, just like, don't mess up.
So has chair volleyball made a difference for elders wanting to stay social and be active?
Yes, it's keeping them active, healthy, and social.
In Scottsdale, Arizona, Aaliyah Chavez, ICT News. Dr. Jacob Weasel had a goal to inspire youth, and he achieved it. This Lakota surgeon summited Mount Everest, and he did it for a cause. He created the nonprofit called the Wopila Project in order to raise money on his expedition to build a playground for Lakota kids in Rapid City, South Dakota, and to create health clinics for women in Nepal. He shared his amazing experience with ICT's Mackenzie Allen Charmley.
Honestly, the strongest feeling that I have is just one of gratitude. So grateful, not just for having been able to summit and come down safely, but to represent my people, to be gifted with the eagle feather, which I was able to take up to the top of the world and leave there as a symbol, not just of Lakota people, but all Indigenous people. I mean, coming down just full of joy and full of gratitude.
You mentioned that you had brought an eagle feather with you on your journey. What is the significance behind that?
Yeah, well, and so obviously for a lot of Native cultures, eagle feathers are sacred. And I've had the opportunity of developing a relationship with several elders in the community and medicine men. And I was approached by a guy named Rick Two Dogs, who's a well-respected member of our community, and he's a medicine man, been practicing for nearly 50 years or so on Pine Ridge Reservation. And he had basically asked me if I would be willing to take an eagle feather that was blessed in ceremony to the top of Everest. And when we sat down to have lunch and he gifted me with that feather, he basically said, you know, this feather is representative and it's a symbol of our people. And for everything that we have suffered, the injustices, the atrocities, the subjugation that we as a people have suffered over the past 3 centuries, and how that has almost broken the spirit of the people, he asked me to take that feather to the top of the world as a symbol of raising the spirit of our people above all that has happened to us. And so, you know, ultimately I was privileged and honored to be able to do so. And I had the feather attached to my pack all the way from Namche Basar when we landed there by helicopter, through the Everest trek to base camp and up the mountain to the top of the world. And to this very day, it sits there higher than anything else on the planet. And so it was a real privilege and an honor for me to be able to do that in representing our people.
You've summited many other monumental peaks, but I was hoping you could share with us how exactly you prepared for Everest and your decision process behind that.
Yeah, well, with my children, I just said it's not about me climbing this mountain. It's about using this as an opportunity to show that whatever it is you want in life, if you work hard and you have perseverance and grit and a will to achieve something great, that it can actually happen. And wanting to inspire other people to follow their dreams as well. And so in terms of the preparation, you're right. It's unlike most other mountains. It is extremely physically challenging, and the mental aspect of it is something that you really can't grasp until you're there on the mountain. And I came to that mountain feeling as though I was prepared and fit. And I will tell you that first rotation up the mountain when I'm trying to push up to 24,000 feet and I'm taking 5 steps and it takes me 20 seconds to catch my breath. I was humbled by that because it was something that I had never experienced before. But in terms of preparation, it's a lot of working out, spending time on a stair stepper, spending time in the gym. And so in the 9 to 12 months leading up to the expedition, I spent upwards of 4 hours every day preparing physically for this. And a lot of it was putting on a heavy pack and stair stepping for 2 hours at a time, and then doing some lifting, mostly legs and core, and then just running up hills and all sorts of different things. At the end of the day, nothing is really a substitute for putting on a heavy pack and climbing up hills, because that's what you end up doing. So
I can only imagine climbing a mountain takes a strong mindset. Were there any key moments on your journey where you felt challenged?
yeah, so for people that don't know, you go up the mountain to acclimatize and get used to that altitude, and then you come back down the mountain and you rest. And after that first rotation, it was probably the first time in my life where I really was humbled and had some self-doubt as to whether or not I could do this or not. And I return to Everest and start on the summit push. And after I had come down to rest, I developed a mantra that I said to myself probably several thousand times. And it was 3 words. It was discipline, focus, and strength. And in those order, because strength is really the least important of those 3 when you're on the mountain climbing. And yeah, absolutely. There were times where I, in retrospect, had brushes with death. On the way from Camp 2 up to Camp 3, there is a steep face called the Lhotse face, and it's primarily ice. And any rock that gets dislodged from 2,000 feet above can work its way down, and it's going down the mountain at 50 to maybe 65 miles an hour. And I'm going up the mountain, and all of a sudden I hear rock, rock, rock. And I look up, and it was a split second between me seeing the rock and it striking me in the chest. And, I gathered myself, realized I hadn't broken any ribs, had probably bruised some ribs, but I was okay to move forward. So we move on from there. And it's not really until I come off the mountain that I'm contemplating this and thinking, if that rock was a foot higher and 4 inches to the right, it would be a different story. And I could have easily lost my life, whether it be that instance or, coming down off of the mountain after summiting. I got caught in 2 avalanches through what's called the Khumbu Icefall. And, crouching behind a rock as up above me, a plume of ice and snow comes barreling down, and feeling the power of that coming down on you, and just hoping that you don't get hit by a rock and that the force of this avalanche doesn't sweep you into a crevasse. And going through that, it wasn't just the physical aspect, but you come away from that being just mentally and emotionally exhausted. So yeah, there were definitely challenging times on the mountain. But as much as there is, sadness and loss, and you experience and see things on the mountain that are difficult to see and to go through, it's kind of all overarched by an amazing beauty and this privilege and honor that you get to watch the sunrise from the top of the world.
You're a doctor. You've summited Everest. For anyone else who wants to achieve big like you, what advice would you give them?
So, yeah, I would say the first thing is believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Find yourself a dream to latch onto, and then don't allow anything or anyone to dissuade you. And I came off the mountain and I made a note to myself, a note to other people. And part of that just said, never, ever, ever give up. And whatever it is that you want in life, run after it. And the best advice that I could give is to run from zero. So it's difficult to go from the couch to climbing Everest, but everybody can get off of the couch and walk around their neighborhood. And it starts there. And if you start with small things and accomplish those things, it will lead to bigger things if you allow yourself the opportunity to dream big dreams. And I think that as individuals, as human beings, we are far more capable than we give ourselves credit. I think that we are far stronger than we ever know. And if you allow yourself the opportunity to be put in a place to test your strength and to test your limits, I think most individuals would be surprised at what's inside of them that lies dormant, that they have no idea is actually there. And so for me, going to climb these mountains, and whether it's that or other areas in life, I think us realizing what we are capable of as human beings, and being able to push our limits and have a deep appreciation for our potential is something that I've come to love, and hopefully something that I hope others will be inspired to pursue for themselves.
Well, Dr. Jacob Wiesel, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That was Lakota surgeon Jacob Wiesel. When we come back, we visit a community creating new ways to keep Native American children safe. Stay with us.
We are all children born of water. It is where all life begins. Water embraces and protects us. We revere it in our homes. We need to live close to water. It nourishes and cleanses us. All living things know this. Sometimes water is gentle and floats in the air. Sometimes water is harsh and powerful. Sometimes it catches the sun's rays. Water changes with the seasons, alive and always moving, even when no one is looking. Water is patient. Water endures. Water brings clarity. Water purifies our thoughts. Water brings us together. Water is holy. Water helps us heal. Water is medicine.
Well, Standing Rock's Fort Yates district is dropping in on a new skate park thanks to a team that includes some pretty big names. ICT's Vincent Moniz was at the North Dakota event in July and has all of the sights and sounds.
For many kids living in the rural Standing Rock community of Fort Yates, making their own fun is part of the adventure. One of the cheapest and most healthy ways is basketball and skateboarding, but where to do both is in short supply. So, North Dakota-based nonprofit AU and Montana Pool Service, an organization founded by Pearl Jam bassist Jeff Ament, decided to fix that. Standing Rock citizen and the not-for-profit's co-founder, Billy Joe B. Healer, spoke about the larger Indigenous ideas that went into the park.
Our collaboration is based on our Indigenous worldview, our Lakota worldview of Mitakue Yuasi. We are all connected. So we find connections with other organizations that want to share a key message to the world. We are still here, we are thriving, and we want to work with other organizations that have this belief as well.
To bring the project to life, support came from Standing Rock itself, and incredibly, even Nike came with gifts. The community celebrated the opening of their world-class skate park and basketball court with a feed and music. This event also included an opening ceremony the drum group Lakota Thunder, and a skate clinic. Youth skaters traveled all the way from Blackfeet and Pine Ridge tribal lands to join in and help beginners. Plus, members of the Nike Native American Network were there, including N7's founder, Sam McCracken, and Ambassador Shauna Long. The net artist and skater Dior Greenwood says skating at the event showed her that anything is possible when a community comes together.
What made me say yes to an event like this is the opportunity to see other leaders creating their dreams and bringing it into reality. Me seeing it firsthand allows me to be the leader I would need to be for my community, and them showing me what's possible only allows me to dream larger and bigger.
B. Healer, an active community member, said a key moment in her nation's history made it clear why Standing Rock youth should be centered and honored.
In 2016, during the No DAPL protests, our Standing Rock youth took the lead, and for them to go out and put themselves on the front lines for all of us, not just Standing Rock, but for all Indigenous nations, for all local communities, rural communities, for everyone.
From the Standing Rock Nation's Hagichdahanska district in North Dakota, Vincent Monaz, ICT News.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.